Everybody, welcome back to another episode of DFS Fantasy NASCAR Picks. I'm your host, Mega31. I'm going to be doing the speculation video for the Xfinity race. So if you don't like speculation videos, and I understand, go ahead, switch to another video. But I just be warned, I will not be doing an Xfinity video with real data this week, only because I think qualifying starts at 1:05 right after practice on Saturday, so that's about 2:05 it'd be done, and the race starts at like 4:30. So it only gives you about an hour and a half to build lineups. So I'm at my other job, so I won't be able to do a video. But even if I was off on Saturday today, like by the time I get all the results, make sure everything was good with the inspections, do the video for like 20 to half an hour, produce it, upload it and everything, it'd still be like less than an hour. So it's really hard. So what I will do if you do continue to watch this as a thank you is I will go back and I'll update my primes after that. But the best way to get all the information is you can go to the link in the description of the video and go to FSI DFS and sign up for the package. The 1 day is $3. It's like $5 for the whole weekend. It's very inexpensive. So that way you'll be able to get all the information, all the updated spreadsheet when it comes out. Cash the prime plays for the cash core, and I give a GPP core, and I'll help as much time as we have, help you if you have questions on like last guy in or things like that, or last driver in. Sorry, there's females in this field. So let's kind of get into it. So Phoenix, and one ironic thing is I'm doing this on Thursday in a spring training baseball, and I'm just so tilted because we had a rain out in Phoenix in the desert. So hopefully that's gets out of its system and there's no weather issues in Phoenix, where you would think the desert they would have none. But this track is a shorter track than they were last week. Las Vegas is a like 1.5 mile intermediate track. This one's less than that. It's a flat track, like kind of like New Hampshire, so not as much tire wear as there was last week. So still have to worry about a little bit, but it's not as something that you have to super manage here. But I still think we'll see some of the same players in play for it. You just have to figure out where the three kind of ringers up top with William Byron and John Hunter Nemechek, who did win last week and did run, who's not part of the Xfinity Series in the Cup Series, but he's coming down to the All-Star 20. And then Eric Almirola, who's always done really well at New Hampshire and these types of flat tracks. So using different models from previous races, similar tracks, the year data so far, last year's data, like a whole bunch of things. It's like sausage. You just want to eat it and not really see how it's made. But my computer is coming up with some suggestions on where these people would start and suggestions as to where they're going to finish. And then it factors in, there's going to be 200 laps, what percentage of those laps they're going to lead. And that's how I figured out who I think I like as potential dominators. And then fast laps too are sprinkled in there too. So as a reminder, if you're just catching these videos for the first time, and I apologize, I didn't put the key up, but cash plays are plays that you want to play in 50-50s or single entries, things like that. They have a lot what we call floor, which means that they're pretty safe to play. The driver shouldn't lose a lot of place differential, probably doesn't have a ton of like upside. Or they be the prime play, but they're should be relatively safe. The prime plays are the best plays. They have upside and should be the safest, and are probably going to be highly owned and probably some of the top plays on the slate. I try to balance it out because I'm not going to give you like even though sometimes it would merit like there'd be like three prime plays over like 10K. I'm going to try to spread them out through the field in different price points and give you like probably my favorite guy or a girl or driver in each kind of price range. Or if I have two high value ones, I want to give you like a low dollar one just to kind of build a balanced lineup just to help you out there. So the new categories is Dom and UDOM. Dom is a cash gameplay that I feel could dominate the race, which is somebody that can go out there and lead laps and get fast laps. And then you is the upside dominator, is more of a GPP play, which is more for tournaments, which would be 20 max and like up to 150 max. And with the 20 max, sometimes what I'll do is I'll throw my cash line up in there. I'll throw the primes in there, and then I'll rotate in some dominators, and then find like the last person in. So I'll just go through. I'll put the prime plays in, and if like the highest price one, like John Hunter Nemechek, if you want to like fade him out and just go with like the two primes, and then just continue to rotate in a couple dominators, and then fill it in with two other cash play game people to finish the lineup, then that usually works in these types of tracks. So let's get into it. So it likes Sammy Smith here. I'm JR Motorsports, but it only has him finishing seventh. So uh, the only problem with my projection, I'm trying to figure out how to get it kind of, and maybe through the course of having um, more races and more data, it's always going to be top heavy. It's always going to probably over project the guys that are up top that it really likes. And it's always going to really under project. And you really rarely see people in like single digits um, at the end of a race. So I got to figure out how to spread that out. So just don't take these projections as the word of God. But again, I think like what the play is for it is like probably the most important thing to look at here. So the model likes him to get the pole and to finish seventh. And I think he's one of the upside dominators. I don't think he's one of the primary targets, but I think I definitely want to have some exposure and sprinkle him in. Cole Custer finished second last week. I think it's going to happen again to John Hunter Nemechek, who should run really well here. He should battle John Hunter Nemechek for the lead. The one thing that John Hunter Nemechek has the advantage over Cole Custer is he's not running for a championship here. So all the ones that have green and aren't in like beige are running for championships. So it's important for them to stay out and fight for stage points, where Byron, John Hunter Nemechek, and Eric Almendola, and like Corey Heim, even to a degree, can pit early and get out there and get track position and try to hold it and hold everybody off, because everybody else will pit after the stage and they can stay out there and hopefully lead, and the other team will be in, or of the other green guys would be in dirty air and have to fight to get out of the field. Now, restarts are crazy on this track. There's like this huge like opening where they can fan out and be like 3, 4, 5 wide. It just goes crazy. It's like the whole thing just like fans out when they start 2 by 2, and then they just get into turn one there, and it's just like it's amazing that there's not more wrecks and catastrophes from it. So but it is, you can pass early on here, but then once they get going, like you want to make sure that you have a car with like long run speed, and we'll be able to see that through practice. We don't have that information now, but just knowing how these cars are usually set up, we should be good. So Cole Custer should have speed, should have good long run speed, should be good for that. Justin Allgaier has been solid here. He's run like 28 races at this track. My model has him third, finishing fifth, and leading some laps. So he's somebody that you can consider as a dominator. Byron, he's in a really good car. He has a Hendricks Motorsports Xfinity car, but they don't run this car all the time. So and it's not like his normal, like he might have people from his normal cup team, but it's not like a normal Xfinity team that like races every single week. So he's a good driver and should have a really good chance. My model has him starting sixth and ending sixth. I don't know why that's sorted. Didn't sort that way, so apologize for that. Yeah, we'll finish talking about Byron and go back to the other two. So I think he's definitely in play. We've seen Kyle Busch come out in the truck series and be and dominant and stepping down, and he's a really solid driver and should do well here. Has the highest price tag, but I really like some of the regular people like Allgaier and Custer a little bit over them over Byron, just because they're known commodities down here. But could William Byron go out there and completely get the pole and dominate this race and win the race? Absolutely. So I'll definitely have some exposure, but I'm treating him more as a GPP than a cash play. For John Hunter Nemechek going up there again, my model really likes him. He did really good job last week, and I think that he's going to really do well here. Also, it's a really good car. He ran really well here in Xfinity last couple years that he's been in it, and I don't see how he can't go out there and dominate and like use pit strategy to get track position. And I think he's got to probably have a strong enough car to win. The other person that could kind of be a dark horse threat in him is Chandler Smith. Chandler Smith has run really, really well here. He's got people on his team who have had a history of doing really well here. And the other thing too that you have to kind of look at is the guys in green. This is where the championship race is going to be. So they're not only out there to try to, win a race early in the season and get stage points and everything. They're out there to collect as much good data as they possibly can. So if they're in the championship race here in the championship four, that they have some really good notes on like setup and like how to drive and stuff. Um, so, they can hopefully nail it and do really well and win a title. So those things are going through their mind. So Nemechek, Byron, Almirola, and Heim don't have to worry about that. But Chandler Smith, I think, is definitely going to be in it. He's got the second highest average finish this year so far. He was third in Vegas. So got a lot going for him, and like with all the track averages and everything for average finish, he is actually fourth, behind Allgaier, Allmendinger, just because he's run so many races, Hill and Smith. But I don't think that model had their factors in some of the other drivers that are in the field that aren't normal Xfinity guys. I already talked about Byron. Brandon Jones, hit or miss GPP. Have him starting seventh, finishing 11th. I think he can do okay here. I like the Joe Gibbs cars a little bit better than the JR cars, but we'll have to see. AJ Allmendinger is usually pretty good here. I think he can be an upside dominator, a little sleeper here. Have him starting eighth, finishing eighth. He's definitely got a top 10 car here. Colleague, I think, has just kind of been watered down over the last couple seasons. They're just not what they were a couple years ago. So I don't even know if we can consider them like a top tier team. They're like maybe a 1B team, but Allmendinger's a good driver. He's focused on Xfinity, even though he's going up and running a couple cup ones. But this is the level he's like racing, competing at this year, and I think he's going to do really well. Look at him start somewhere in the top 10 to qualify and should finish there also and potentially lose some laps. Eric Almirola, like I said, hops into another Joe Gibbs All-Star car here. I don't think they'll give him as many resources as they give John Hunter Nemechek because he's retiring. He's retired from Cup, and John Hunter Nemechek hopefully has a bright future. He's at Legacy right now, but there's other guys in the main Joe Gibbs program, like Truex specifically, that might not be around. So, it really needs to be a good showing for Toyota and John Hunter Nemechek. So my guess is that he will get the lion's share of the resources in this, besides the guys that are trying to win Xfinity, like Creed and Chandler Smith. So I think Almirola gets the fourth best car out of all these. So still, again, he's done well. That's why I'm going to have some exposure to him. My model is him starting ninth and finishing 16th. Might be because it thinks that he's a little bit rusty. Might be looking at a little bit of his cup not doing so well in the last few seasons. There's up there, but I still think he could be an upside dominator. Sheldon Creed definitely is one that was up there contending in I think he may have finished like second or third in the fall race or one of the races last year, but he's run well here. He's done better to start this season. Of course, Daytona was in there. His average finish is 10.7, which out of all the active Xfinity drivers is, well, I threw out Jeffrey Earnhardt because I think he only ran in Daytona. So of the ones that have run 3 races, that's actually sixth best overall. So that's not too bad. And where was he in Vegas? He because he didn't have too great of a day. Let's see where he finished. Oh, 26th. I mean, here's running there. But yeah, he's usually up there and contending. And by the way, sorry, I forgot to mention that Almirola did run last week at Vegas, and he did finish on the lead lap and did finish 12th. So he didn't lead any laps or anything, but so uh, it has him like finishing 16th, so maybe a little bit better than that. But Creed is always an upside guy. Creed's gonna win races. Creed just needs to, and I think Joe Gibbs has calmed him down a little bit. Last year at RCR, he's taken out his teammate. It was like win at all costs, and this year, like he's got a team with three other guys. So I think that they're trying to train him to channel that aggression into something like positive. Like we saw that with Ricky Stenhouse, we saw that with Ross Chastain early on, and maybe if they reel him in a little bit, that upside can start to come out. So definitely an upside dominator there for me. Austin Hill, my model has him starting a little bit too low here. If he does start 11th, it would be an absolutely wonderful play. Definitely a top five driver here, could win the race. Great form to start the season, won the first two races. So, he's definitely someone in this car in this program that should do well here. So I consider him a regular dominator for cash if you want to rotate him in. And so again, I think you're starting with Nemechek, and then you're going to pair like Custer, Hill, Allgaier or Chandler Smith in, and then plug in the other guys and then see how much money you have left, and then maybe you get a third dominator in there, and then go like with another cheap person, or go balance to finish it out. So that's where I'm looking to try to start with cash. Riley Herbst is another option in cash. I just think about the dominator, but I don't know if he's going to get up there and lead. He has traditionally run pretty well here. He finished fifth last week at Las Vegas. Overall this season, he's been doing better than uh, usual. He usually has a lot of bad luck, which I think he did. No, he's actually overall he is third best finish, averaging finish of 8.7 this season. So looks like maybe he's found a lucky horseshoe and things are starting to turn around for him. So definitely like him as a cash play, and he's borderline dom, but with the other guys out there, don't know if he's going to be able to get up there and lead. But I like these Stuart Haas cars. I think he and Custer uh, will have some really nice hot rods, and I think they'll both have solid days here. Sam Mayer, he couldn't wait to get last season over. Really hasn't been anything exciting this season either. So GPP for me. Jesse Love's been impressive. He's been doing well. Had two poles to start out with. Started a little bit in the middle of the pack for the last race, but his average finish isn't horrible. It's been 16.3, and that's with a couple wrecks in Daytona and Atlanta. Again, just like kind of Sheldon Creed who took over for, needs to channel his aggression and be able to pick his moves. But this dude won a ton in ARCA the last couple of years in the title. So he is he finished one lap down in 17th last week. So 14th, having finishing 13th round in the top 15. Definitely see that, but I still think he's a GPP just because he's young and don't know. I think there's a lot of upside there, but I think there's also a lot of downside too with lack of experience. Parker Retzloff in his sophomore year is not having a sophomore slump. He has actually been pretty um, solid, and this Jordan Anderson program has been pretty solid also. So I definitely see him as a cash play. I know he got in a wreck early last week and got taken, or no, he had a fuel pump issue, but Jordan Anderson cars are usually pretty reliable. So um, yeah, I like him. If I can get him in cash games, I'm going to. I'm going to have some exposure to him just because I think he's got a lot of upside and is a bright young star. So I'll be playing him. Ryan Sieg, GPP, all depends on where he qualifies here. I'm like starting 16th, finishing about 18th. He's just a solid play usually, but sometimes he starts too far forward. His average starts 19th, his average finishes 17th so far this season. So, I have him starting 16th and finishing 18th. So that's right in the ballpark. Last week, he finished 7th. So, I definitely think there's some upside there. So hopefully he doesn't qualify like super well, like in the top five, and then we're not going to be able to play him because there's going to be place differential. He's GPP here, but he could definitely be a solid cash play at 6,600. I think he's got a lot of floor. Corey Heim is a very talented driver in the truck series. Is coming up for Sam Hunt. He's another one in that Toyota Racing Development System, and these Sam Hunt cars are almost like Joe Gibb racing car light. So should have fast cars, should be good. Um, and has always run well here except for like the one mistake he made to lose him the title in the truck series last year. He's been solid at Phoenix. So I definitely could see playing McCash. And also because he's got the upside of not having to run for stage points. So with different pit strategies and stuff and pitting off cycle, he can get track position, but he potentially be able to keep it. That could be a difference in winning the race or finishing really well. Jeremy Clemens is usually a solid cash play. 18th, have him finishing 21st. Last week, single car team, which is really respectable. I think they've been doing it like 15 years now. Just and for a single car team to last this long and just to not be elite, but just to be competitive, I think is very admirable. Started 17th, finished 25th last week in Las Vegas. Overall for the season, I think he starting 15th, finishing 20th. So, GPP at 64. Like he and Ryan C are kind of about the same play for me. It just, hopefully they start outside the top 15 and they have top 15 upside, not like usually top 10 upside. So, if they start the further on down they start, the better floor they have. And, they should have solid days and finish in the middle of the pack. Jeb Burton, I really like him also. He's a little bit more expensive, 300 more than Sieg and 500 more than Clemens, but he's run really well here. My model has him starting 19th and finishing 15th. Jordan Anderson Racing, like I said, has been pretty solid on these types of tracks. And I don't think he's had, where's he been for the average for a season so far? Jeb, where are you? Starting 20th, finishing 24th. So it's probably Daytona and Atlanta were issues because I don't think he was one of the ones that was taken out early last week. I think he had a pretty decent run last week, and he actually finished. So, 23rd. That's not bad. 20 started 21st, started 23rd. So, I think he's definitely top 20 upside, but I think he's got a little bit more potential. But again, between all these 6K guys here, you just need to see which one starts probably the lowest, and that's the one you really want to play in your cash lineup. Parker Klingerman, 77. Like he really hasn't started off strong this season, but this big machine racing car is decent. It's run well here before. He's a really good driver also. So I think that he's a prime play. My model has him not qualifying well, which is kind of surprising. He probably could qualify anywhere between 10 and 15th. Um, but if it's the case and he is down like anywhere outside the top 10 for qualifying, I think he's got definitely potential to be a prime play because he definitely could get up into the top 10. Kyle Sieg, my model is starting a little bit too far forward. He's just had some good qualifying runs recently. We like Kyle Sieg when he's like 30th on because he's got floor. He can usually get 10 place differential points. I have him listed at GPP if he does start in the 20s, but 25th on back is definitely somebody that you consider as another 6K solid cash play. And it's just weird to see he and his brother are like $600 off now. Um, yeah, Ryan just used to be like up in the 8K range. So I mean that's just definitely a huge discount for him there. So just keep that in mind. Shane Van Ginsburg still trying to figure out the Xfinity cars. He drove like another series before outside of NASCAR, and he hasn't been doing horrible to start out, but I think it's gonna be a learning curve. Average starts 14th, but finished 17th. So starting 22nd here, finishing 20th. I think that is about. I prefer Klingerman experience for like $200 more, but if Shane Van Gisberg starts far down here, I think he'll be. I think he'll be okay for the race. Where was he last week? He had an engine issue, which I think will be fine. Um, I know this is says it's an MBM car, that might not be, but he's definitely got backing uh from the Cup Series, from the Justin Marks and their team. So it's just a matter of time before he gets up in the Cup Series, and he's probably going to race some races and be teammates with Ross Chastain and Suarez at Trackhouse. So that's what I'm trying to say. So he's definitely someone that they're going to invest in, and definitely somebody that's going to be coming up, but still GPP. Josh Williams is heard a good interview with him that he's just really never had this type of equipment before. He's always had like DGM cars, or like really cars that weren't that good. And colleague likes to set their cars up with like race with more for qualifying trim than like race trim. So they're pretty fast to try to qualify well. So uh he feels that the cars are sometimes just the setup is too loose for him. He like them tighten up, but that's not the way the program is. So it takes him a little bit of time for the car to come to him, and so he's been solid this season. I usually have him as a decent floor cash play, but I have a GPP here, but they're just I don't know if I'll get him in my cash lineup with so many great plays in the 6,000s. I think he's a little bit too highly priced here until we see like a super amount of consistency with him. But he's in a good program with a good team with some good resources behind him. So definitely someone to consider for cash. More of a GPP play here because I think he's got some upside, but he does have some downside if he is trying to get the feel for these cars. If the car is too loose, it easily could end up in the wall. Kyle Weatherman is always a solid guy with a solid floor, 6,300. So I like him for cash. I always feel he's pretty safe too. Anthony Alfredo, GPP. Again, it's going to be where he starts. Have him starting 25th, finishing 25th. Not a ton of upside there, but he's a decent driver in an average team. So I like some of the other guys in the 6K range with better cars. Haley Deegan hasn't started off too bad in Xfinity. Her average finish is actually kind of actually it's been 26, but with some wrecks at Daytona and stuff, you really can't look at that. Last week, she did well. She finished 15th after starting 28th. So I think she's going to qualify somewhere in the 20s. And I think that she can get, I think 15 is like a ceiling. I think she can get in the top 20. So she has 5 to 10 place differential points baked in at 6,200. So she's another one to consider. I average the GPP because I don't like her floor always for cash. But again, depending, it's like the big thing to the slate is like where are all these 6K, and when I get done I'll like resort it so you can just look we can look at all the 6K people together. They're going to be the ones. Honeyman, I wasn't big on him in the first couple races, but the last couple races he's actually been solid. He finished 18th after starting 19th, so he's like pretty much holding his position. His average finish is 23rd, but he did have a wreck at Daytona pretty early. Got caught up in something. So 4,900, keep an eye on him. He's been consistent in as a rookie finishing. So again, GPP because I don't have a ton of data on him, but someone to look at. BJ McLeod, I'm going to put as a cash play. He has actually been really solid this season. He's been starting in the lower 20s and finishing around 21st, 20th, 21st, 22nd. So like 5 place differential points, finishing in the 20s. He's like, that's decent enough for me. So my model has him 32, but I think this will work. So if I change it to be 21, that changes him to like 6x. So if he starts like 28th and he finishes um 21st, then I can't remember what number it was, but it doesn't matter. I think he was 30th. So, that's definitely some some good value for you. Brandon Poole, again, he's a little bit more expensive than some of these backfeeder guys, but he's in the or back markers. He's in Alpha Prime, which is pretty good equipment. So I think he's usually solid in cash. And Blade Perkins in this Ryan C car has been pretty solid also. 25th average finish, starting 30th. So it doesn't necessarily qualify well, but that's exactly where I have him starting here at 30th. And if he makes it up to 25th, that's almost 5x there. So I'm fine with that too, like BJ. So I think, BJ, Poole, Perkins are the solid ones down here. Dawson Cram, there's one car in this 39 car field that won't make it. They usually take 38. Dawson Cram's potentially that. Doesn't do well. JD Motorsports. Garrett Smithy is okay, but I don't trust the equipment. JJ Yaley, this green light Ford, I just don't like the equipment. Nick Lentz is a young guy who might have come up to Xfinity too soon, not in a great ride, has not done well to start the season. His average finish is 26 after starting 31st, so that's okay. How did he do last week? Actually, it was 27th last week, so maybe there's some upside there. That's why his GPP is not a fade. Patrick Emmerling isn't even racing in his race cars because they have the Emmerling Gase ones. So I don't know what that says, but I think he's a fade. Ryan Vargas is in a Jordan Anderson car. It's the first time this year he's hopped into it, and Jordan Anderson is still doing 3 cars. So hopefully no tech issues or anything. This was Jordan Anderson's car that he ran the first 3 races of the year. So Ryan Vargas is a solid race car driver, and I like him at 5,700. But Ryan Ellis, I'm going to get the prime too, especially the prime's going to be whoever got in the 5K range starts down here and is in decent equipment. So either Jordan Anderson, Alpha Prime Racing, Ryan Sieg Racing, BJ McLeod probably won't get the prime unless he starts dead last. Um, and it looks okay. And like, if he looks okay in qualifying, like with speed, like he has some speed, and then maybe he like cuts the turn too close and like spins out in qualifying, and that's why he's finishing dead last, or he had like had to replace a battery or something in the car. I don't think that's going to be like technologically like a nightmare if it breaks again. Then he could be the prime, but it's unlikely. And Honeyman's not going to become the prime. So but those are some, and CJ McLaughlin is and Frankie Muniz are the other candidates to not make the field. So, like I said, I'll just sort it for you by salary. So again, take a Nemechek, Klingerman, and then whoever down here in the 5K range, whether it be Vargas, whether it be Ellis, guys in good equipment. Perkins, even though McLaughlin he's a terrible driver, I'm not going to take him. And those guys, one of those guys will probably be the prime to make this all work. Klingerman, I think, is the one that I'm going to look for in the mid range, but it could be like anybody in the 7K range if they start like way down low, if they have like a mechanical problem or something simple and they can't practice or they can't qualify, but the car is going to be fine and they're definitely not going to be a 38th place car, then that's something that you can definitely look at. But like I said, for cash, you really want to hammer the 6K range, maybe not Kyle C, but Deegan potentially, but definitely Weatherman, Clemens, C, Gilfredo. Um, yeah, this range right here, these drivers are phenomenal. Here's your bread and butter to wherever they 25th on back. Definitely can get to like 5, 10 place differential points. Solid drivers. This range right here is what you want to hammer to try to get some of these guys in here up here. And then with the prime down here, this prime might even move to one of these drivers if for some reason like Klingerland like starts fourth and the rest of these 7K guys are start way too far forward. So, that's what your lineup start with. Nemechek, get one of these purple Doms in there in cash, get one of these orange ones in GPP, take Nemechek out, and then hammer this range right here for your fill in, and then some solid ones down here if you're going more of a stars and club over balanced build. So that's what I got for you. If you have any questions, put them in the chat below. Hit me up at Megaro31 on Twitter/X. And again, if you want more information off side DFS, it's very cheap. $3 for a day, $5 for the weekend to get into the Discord to get all the accurate information once qualifying and practice is over. And check out the Cup video that will be coming Saturday night. Remember, you lose an hour of sleep. Sorry about that. Nothing I can do about that. But you know, but I'll still have the video out there for you. So appreciate all the views on that. And because we did hit the 1,000 views, you can also go back to that video for last week. There's a coupon code for you to be able to get into FSI for a free day if you want to use that on Saturday, so you can come in and get the accurate Xfinity stuff. It is there for you. So thanks for watching. If these videos help you, please help me back by liking the video, subscribing to our channel, and sharing with your friends. So good luck in your contest. Hope you have an amazing weekend, and I will see you next time.